I'm Rich Ralston. I'm the author of this book called Subtle Energy and the World We Experience and Journey to Source, Awakening the Soul. Now, in these two books, I try to define what subtle energy is and how it relates to this world and our physical bodies. So, subtle energy basically is the subatomic energy that creates atoms and everything else. Now, I believe there's a source of where this all comes from. I call it the source or prime creator, and it has a consciousness that is beyond our comprehension, but it has the ability to create everything that we see on this planet. And it's done through what we call the quantum field. So the quantum field is in what we call the seventh and higher dimensions. And I'll have a meditation group video you can follow to get to the seventh dimension. But the source has created this planet with basically 12 what we call dimensions. They're just frequency layers of energy, and each frequency layer holds a certain amount of memory and thought and has different purposes. So we start with the lowest frequencies, which would be 1, 2, and 3 dimensions. That's where we find the solid earth and our physical bodies. Okay? But each dimension is divided into 12 octaves. They're little frequency layers. So like the human body, if you were to go down to the root chakra, we have we have 7, but we really have more than that of chakras. The chakras are basically layers of energy, and I'll do a video on just chakras alone. But basically, there's 12 layers to each dimension. So we start down at the very base of number 1, and we go up to 12. Now, the human soul operates, we have two souls. We have a lower soul, which I call earthbound souls. Okay, what I mean by that is our physical bodies are tied to our DNA. So we can go from generation to generation and pass on our DNA characteristics. And that's the earthbound soul. And then we have a higher consciousness called the heaven-bound soul. This is our higher spiritual aspect of who we are. And I don't believe it even originated on Earth. I believe it came from different places, different planets, galaxies, whatever. But the Creator created our souls never to die, our higher consciousness anyway. So one of the things that as a spiritual medium, I discovered is that when people physically die, their souls never die. Their souls just transcend. It has to have a place to go. Okay? That's where all these dimensions come in. Because when we're alive, both of our souls are generally operating in the third dimension. But when we physically die, our lower consciousness returns back into the earth and what we call the crystalline grid or the Akashic records, where our ancestors are. Our DNA is really made up of a crystalline substance. So that energy field, you have to think in terms of energy never dying, okay? You can't kill energy. You have to either change it or redirect its direction. So our energy from our physical body goes back into the earth, but our higher consciousness goes up to generally the fifth and sixth dimension. Now, if you want to call something heaven, heaven would be the fifth and sixth dimension. That's where you'll find your family and friends who died before and after you. They're all going to go up there, and you'll see them up there. And also cats and dogs and animals that have consciousness, they reincarnate back into their what we call soul groups. Okay. Our souls have associated with other souls in the fifth and sixth dimension. Now, I'm going to do a complete video on just the afterlife. But what I'm trying to establish in this video is the fact that subtle energy is the energy that operates everything through the quantum field. Now, the earth has its own energy fields of consciousness, and you could say it has its own chakras, its own energy fields. And that's why we have what we call devic spirits or elemental spirits. What they are is they're forms of consciousness that the Creator has formed in order to follow the law of physics and operate the world, operate the weather patterns, operate gravity. It's all basically physics. But what operates physics? You see, it's mathematical equations to the physicist, but the source is the one that generates the thought and intent that creates all of this. So you don't have to know physics to understand how energy works. But if you can remember that everything works in a frequency level, that's very helpful. Because let's take the example of what is a psychic, okay? The average person operates in their 5 normal senses. But a psychic has the ability to go into higher octaves. Like I go into all the octaves of many, many dimensions. And I have a meditation video that you can follow to go do that if you want. But let's just talk about the idea of the human body and of people dying. This is something I'd like to just cover frequently. The average person operates in the first 6 chakras, octaves of their body. When they die, their soul generally goes up to the 10th, 11th, and 12th octave, and then it either crosses over through the 4th to the 5th octave or dimension to their family and friends, or it gets stuck. Maybe it died in an accident and it's confused. That's what you and I would call a ghost. Now, a lot of people say, well, I don't believe in a ghost. I think it's just all. Well, wait a minute. You don't have the ability to sense a higher octave. If you were able to see, like I see, the consciousness of people in a higher dimension, higher octaves, then all of that would be different. Okay? So I believe that most people have some sort of a psychic abilities. They just don't understand anything about it. Okay? Most of all of you that are listening to this video probably have some psychic ability. The idea of what I'm trying to do with these videos is to introduce you to my understanding of how this stuff works. I got exercises that you can go through and try. Experiment and see for yourself what you can learn about yourself. what you can feel, what you can see, what you can hear, okay? And then you can just figure out what you want to believe. You can believe whatever you want. One of the things about our souls is we have free will to believe what we want, okay? So I'm not trying to tell you what to do. I'm just trying to explain to you that there are possibilities that you can explore to find out more about yourself and about this world that we experience. So these books I've written, they don't answer all the questions, but they give you at least something to start from. And then from that point on, I hope they can be very helpful to you, because you want to teach yourself, if possible, all of these ideas about how to get into different dimensions and octaves, and have fun with it, learn from it, experiment with it. Okay? Thank you very much.